Hey guys, Peter here to do an album review. Today I'm here to tell you all about Aegis and their latest record, Uncrown, out August 21st on Black Lodge Records. The album has 9 tracks, 43 minutes in length, and this is the band's second full-length studio album. I've never heard of this band before, but the last time I checked an album from this label was Wormwood's latest record, and I absolutely loved it. Based on that, I decided to check these guys out and give them a chance. I'm glad I did. These guys are from Sweden, they're a melodic black metal band, and they created a very interesting record. The first thing that I noticed was that I didn't feel like this album had an overall structure. It didn't have an overall path. It felt very wild. It felt to me that they created a record that had 9 individual songs with 9 individual structures, different ways of being constructed, that really made them, that created a different fingerprint for every single track. Not a unified record, but definitely an individualistic style record. The sound that the album has is really the unifying force that brings it all together. The sound on this record is really defined by the melody that it has and the darkness that permeates outside of that melody. Those are the two different sides of the coin as far as sound is concerned. From a melodic perspective, I really felt that it achieved two goals. One is to add melody to the way the tracks sound, to the way the overall record feels, and then have that melody create an atmosphere that permeates through all 9 tracks, unifying the album as one. It's not to say that the songs are repetitive, because they're not, but they definitely have some of the same elements sprinkled in across all 9. So those elements, because they're present on every single song, they become the key points for the listener and really allows the listener to stay connected with the first track and then move on to the second track and so forth until you reach the end of the album. So it's an album that pulls you in 2 different directions. From a structural perspective, it breaks itself apart, but then the sound makes it feel very cohesive. The darkness that the sound has predominantly is coming from the drums and the vocals, because those are also the 2 elements that bring a lot of heaviness to a very melodic record to really create a perfect balance between melody and heaviness and darkness. I love the vocals on this album. I also love the fact that they didn't just go with one size fits all, where you're going to get the same approach song after song after song. That would definitely make the album repetitive, even though all the other elements are very different. But you would have one characteristic that doesn't change at all, and then everything else would start to get very murky. So they took a different approach. While the vocals stay very consistent across all 9 tracks, there are enough variations, or at least different approaches, different textures, different layers, to really change things up ever so slightly. You're going to get some backing vocals that, in my opinion, don't necessarily add heaviness to the tracks, but they definitely add a different level of emotion. They add a different level of darkness. Then you're also going to get some spoken words, some clean vocals here and there, not a lot, but enough to change the eyesight within those tracks and definitely create a different dynamic feel as far as the vocals are concerned. Overall, I love this album. Perfect blend of melody, atmosphere, and darkness. All these 3 elements come together. They all have their own individual fingerprints and signatures, but they stay true through every single song, allowing the album, like I said, to pull apart and still come together as one. As far as songs are concerned, I want to start off with A Hollow Tomb. Great intro. They do a very good job on this album, including intros into the tracks in order to really extend the track, but also give you a little bit of an ease in and not hit you smack in the face the moment the song starts. This is one of those songs that has just a really great intro that eases you into the heaviness and darkness that comes right after. Still keeping a very melodic atmosphere in the background and the backdrop, really underneath the track, and all this heaviness and darkness sitting right on top of it. You feel like it's a track that moves really well. It has a different emotional momentum to it. It changes. You feel different emotions as you progress through the track, really giving you almost an emotional roller coaster, if you will. The acoustic bridge that this song has is absolutely delicious. What comes after feels 100 times darker, 100 times heavy. It just feels like the track absolutely explodes after that acoustic bridge. And then closing off with a very incredible cinematic melody that just absolutely puts you in a daze. I love the construction of the song. I love how all the elements came together, creating a very intense, a very fluid and dynamic track. Next, Uncrown. Once again, perfect intro, slow guitar intro, building up the song. It quickly starts to become more powerful, heavier, driven, darker, but definitely that intro helps accentuate those heavier moments that the song has as it starts to progress. The guitar riffs are absolutely penetrating and driven. It gives you chills. One of the songs, in my opinion, on the album, at least from the three that I picked, that has more of a traditional black metal sound to it, not as melodic. Melodic at start with that slow guitar intro, melodic at the end, and how it finishes, because this is a song that goes full circle. But in between those 2 points of melody, it's a lot of darkness, it's a lot of heaviness, feeling more like a pure black metal track. Love the mix of the dark vocals, the way they come in and the way they interact with the song, giving almost a sense of unease, a sense of eeriness, bringing some eeriness to the track, really mixing well with how the guitars sound and how driven and how powerful they are. A song that's very well constructed, very well put together, mixing a little bit of melody and brightness in there, but very little. Most of that melody and brightness really comes at the two ends, because in between is almost just pure darkness. Love this track, love how it's put together. Last but not least, The Death of Kings of Old. The vocals are exactly the main focal point of this song, and what sold me on this track. They used some layers. The layers definitely added a darker atmosphere to the song, in my opinion, not adding a lot of heaviness to the way the song sounds, but definitely adding an ambiance, an atmosphere, a darker one at that. So this is a track that allows the vocals to be the guiding point, and everything else is just kind of following behind and filling in the blanks, and allowing the vocals to be that beacon that guides you from the beginning all the way to the end. The heaviness is coming more from the drums. You get some of that heaviness also coming from the heavy, harsh vocals, but predominantly is from the drums. You really feel how heavy, how powerful the drums are on this track. They use a little bit of acoustic guitars, and in my opinion, that changes the eyesight. That really changes the dynamics of the track. It becomes a magnificent bridge that allows you to kind of go up for air, because up until that point the song is really robust, it's really powerful, but when you get into that acoustic bridge, then they added some orchestration into it, becomes so melodic, it becomes lighter than a feather, and it really brings the listener up for air before the onslaught comes back again. And then it becomes more dynamic, it becomes heavier again, it starts to feel like it's closing down on you, it's picking up intensity, it's picking up aggression, it's picking up steam. It's a song that really has two sides. It has how it started, it has how it ended, and in the middle it just packs this wall of melody that lifts you up before it brings you back down again. So it's a track that pushes you down as it starts, lifts you up, and as it's lifting you up, it's kicking you back down again. It has this dynamic approach to it. I love it, and I love that middle bridge of the track, and I love the overall vocal approach throughout the track, because they added so much intensity, they added so much darkness. Once again, not heaviness, but darkness, and having different layers of vocals superimposed on each other. Really a nice touch for a song that it's this intense and this aggressive throughout, without, well, if you don't mention that middle bridge, because that middle bridge is just pure melodic bliss. Alright guys, this is it. This is Ages with Uncrown, once again out August 21st on Black Lodge Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.